I rarely go to church anymore. But last week, I found myself watching a YouTube sermon about signs you're chosen for something bigger. By the end, I realized the preacher wasn't describing some distant spiritual concept. He was describing my life. For years, I'd wrestled with those depression whispers telling me I was nothing but a mistake. Rock bottom became a familiar address. When my marriage crumbled, I felt abandoned and alone, questioning everything I thought I knew about myself and my purpose. But then, remembering back 33 years ago, there was that Wednesday night at church with Andy and Susan. Something shifted. That wonderful feeling that changed everything. It wasn't just emotional, it was recognition. At 22 and broken, I was still reaching for the light. Still reaching. How many of us have felt like walking contradictions, broken but hopeful, scarred but still reaching? This first song became my reminder of what those scars actually mean. Every scar's a sacred marker where His grace met me that day. This is what that recognition sounds like when it becomes music.
When the morning feels too heavy and your compass starts to shake, when you're holding broken pieces of the plans you thought you'd made, there's a voice that cuts through static of the doubt inside your head. Child, your story's not over. It's just turning to the page ahead. Remember who you are.
The signs
Have shown the way.
every scar's
A sacred marker where His grace met you that day. From rock bottom to the mountain, from the darkness to the stage, remember who you are. You're living proof that souls can change. When that depression whispers you ain't nothing but a mistake, just like when your marriage crumbled and you felt abandoned and alone. Oh, but remember Andy and Susan at that church on Wednesday, how that wonderful feeling changed everything. That is what should keep you moving. He remembers 22 and broken, but you still reach for the light, still reaching. Remember who you are.
you're chosen.
For this road,
Every scar
a sacred marker on the path that you were shown. From rock bottom to the mountain, from the darkness to the stage, remember who you are. You're living proof that hearts can change. The sermon today wasn't revelation, it was confirmation. You ain't searching for your purpose, you're walking in your calling. Every broken heart you touch, every healing song you write, every person who finds hope in your midnight testimony, that's not coincidence, that's your calling. So when the walls feel like they're closing and the road seems too unclear, play this song and hear the truth that you're exactly why you're here. Your calling ain't just music, it's the ministry you were born to lead, transforming pain into purpose for every hungry soul that needs to feed. Remember who you are, you're chosen for this road. Every scar's a sacred marker on the path that you were shown. From Charleston rain to healing, from the shadows to the light. Remember who you are, you're called to help them win this fight. When you're feeling lost and weary, we're with you. When the darkness starts to call, we're with you. Remember there's a Father who prepared you for it all. Remember who you are. Remember who you are.
The signs have shown the way. The signs have shown.
But here's what I didn't expect. That song of hope had a response waiting, because sometimes the most profound conversations happen with the parts of ourself we've been trying to escape. I spent years trying to medicate my depression, run from it, hide from it, pretend it wasn't real. Alcohol, workaholism, relationships that were really just distractions. Anything to avoid sitting alone with that voice that whispered I was a mistake. The voice that got louder during every failure, every disappointment, every time life didn't go according to plan. But here's the thing about shadows. The harder you run from them, the longer they grow. And mine had grown so long it was blocking out everything else. Until I learned something that changed everything. What if depression wasn't the villain in my story? What if it was a teacher? See, I used to think strength meant never breaking down, that faith meant always having the right answers, that being chosen meant being perfect. But that Wednesday night 33 years ago, when Andy and Susan reached out to a broken 22-year-old, they weren't reaching toward my potential. They weren't reaching toward my pain. They saw something in my brokenness that I couldn't see in my wholeness. The darkness taught me empathy through anguish, showed me depths I'd never known. It forced me to sit in places most people spend their whole lives avoiding. And in those places, the 3 a.m. despair, the crushing weight of feeling like you don't belong anywhere, the silence that screams louder than any crowd, I learned a language that can't be taught in seminary or therapy school. Now, when others share their pain, I can meet them in their storm. Not because I have all the answers, but because I've been to that country. I know its customs, its weather patterns, its strange and terrible geography. Every song I write about hope come from nights I spent wrestling with despair. I don't get many calls from anyone these days, but when someone does reach out in their midnight hour, I understand that territory. I've done residency there. And slowly, I begin to realize something profound. My depression wasn't the opposite of my calling. It was the classroom where my calling was forged. Every person I've been able to help, every song that's brought someone back from the edge, every moment of connection in the darkness, none of that happens without understanding what the shadow teaches. What you're about to hear is my shadow speaking, not as an enemy, but as a partner in this dance of becoming. Because the voice I spent decades trying to silence had something important to say.
Do you think I'm here to destroy you? I I came to teach what you couldn't learn alone.
I brought you low so you'd reach higher, made you broken so you'd help the brokenhearted.
And you nearly killed me in that darkness, through the rain and sleepless nights. I survived your cruel instruction. Now I know the difference between shadow and light. I am the weight you carry.
I am the strength beneath the load.
I am the pain that shapes you.
I am the healing in your soul.
We are the song that speaks to broken hearts. We are the reason they're not alone.
This is the weight we carry.
This is how we've grown.
I watched you try to medicate me, run from me, hide from me, pretend I wasn't real, until you learned I wasn't evil, just a teacher helping you feel.
You taught me empathy through anguish, showed me depths I'd never known. Now when others share their darkness, I can meet them in their storm.
Every song you write about hope comes from nights you spent with me. Every midnight phone call answered, every soul set free. Every time I test your resolve with my whisper check out now. I'm preparing you for someone else's tomorrow, another life you'll help somehow.
We are not enemies. We are partners in this dance.
You teach me to feel deeply.
This is divine intervention. This is how hearts expand. Depression and redemption, walking hand in hand.
So when the morning feels too heavy, and you start your whispered lies,
I'll remind you why you're needed, why broken hearts need you to rise.
your calling ain't just music,
It's the reason I brought you pain,
to transform your deepest valleys into someone else's gain.
I am the weight you carry. I am the strength beneath the load. I am the teacher in the darkness. I am the light that's never sold.
We are the song that speaks to broken hearts. We are the proof they can't survive.
This is the weight we carry.
This is how we stay alive.
When you visit in the midnight, when the road seems way too long, remember we're not fighting.
We're writing the same song, the same healing song, for everyone who knows this way.
When you put these songs together, something powerful happens. It's not just one person talking about their struggles. It's a conversation between the wounded self and the wise self, between depression and redemption, between the question and the answer. Listen to the progression. Remember who you are becomes, we are partners in this dance. The first song declares identity despite the pain. The second song reveals how the pain actually forged that identity. Both perspectives are necessary for wholeness. This conversation mirrors the internal dialogue of real healing. It's the shift from fighting depression to understanding its purpose, from seeing suffering as meaningless to recognizing how personal pain transforms into ministry to others. In a world that often stigmatizes mental health, this dual perspective offers something different. It doesn't minimize the reality of depression or pretend faith makes it disappear. Instead, it shows the spiritual dimension of psychological healing, how vulnerability creates connection and community. What can we take from this? That healing isn't about eliminating our struggles. It's about understanding their purpose. You can learn to have your own conversations with difficult emotions. There's a difference between being consumed by darkness and learning from it. Every person who finds hope in your midnight testimony, that's not coincidence, that's calling. Your calling isn't just music, it's the ministry you were born to lead, transforming pain into purpose for every hungry soul that needs to feed. These songs remind us that sometimes our greatest wounds become our most powerful ministry. Sometimes dancing with your shadow is exactly how you remember who you are. The signs have shown the way. The signs have shown. If this conversation between light and shadow resonated with you, you're not alone in this dance. Subscribe to Heart Echoes for more stories where broken becomes beautiful, where scars become sacred markers, and where the songs we're afraid to sing become the ones that heal us all. Hit that notification bell, because sometimes the song your soul needs to hear drops when you least expect it, like that YouTube sermon that changed everything for me. Your next breakthrough might be just one click away. Share this episode with someone who's dancing with their own shadow. Comment below and tell me about a time you discovered your wound was actually your calling. And if you're supporting the ministry of music that transforms pain into purpose, consider becoming a channel member. Every contribution helps us reach another broken heart that needs to remember who they are. Until next time, keep listening for the songs that speak to the deepest parts of your story. Because in the conversation between our questions and God's answers, that's where the real healing happens.
This has been Heart Echoes. I'm Brian, and remember, you're exactly where you need to be.